Hey, what's happening with the people? It's your boy Gabe, and as always, I'm glad that y'all could come chill with me today. Happy Valentine's Day to all of those couples out there, all of those people that's gonna be spending some time with their favorite person later on today. Y'all, I hope it's a wonderful one. I want to apologize for the previous videos getting away from what our goal is on this channel. Our goal always on this channel has been to spread information, knowledge, and try to help each other to be the best possible players they could be. One of the comments on my last video said, it's nice to see people doing pickups. Y'all, I don't care how much damage you're doing. If you don't do pickups and help each other, you're a garbage teammate to me and you probably not good at the game. So I want to start this video off by saying right now, water is the strongest DPS on the game at the time of this video, which is on Valentine's Day 2026. So it's 2/14/26 right now. Things always subject to change on this game. Things get buffed, things get nerfed. But right now, water is the strongest damage on this game. Now, y'all know, as always, on this video, on this channel, I try to do things a little differently. I try to go in depth with explaining why I'm doing the things I'm doing so it kind of makes sense to y'all. So it's easier for y'all to replicate it and do it. So I have 3 different variations that I use for my water DPS, and it's going to kind of make sense once I explain to y'all why. So I want to start off with, say that I'm in some content that's dying really quickly. I go with the tried and true. I dropped so for artifacts with this one, I run pages. I run trans card. Trans really don't come out of my artifact slot ever because it's such a great artifact for DPSing. I run Candle and Necron. It's a fantastic artifact that helps with our critical damage. Um, I run Scrap of Soul Cloak that doesn't come off, and Eye of Gemini. These four artifacts really don't come out of my guides for anything, which is pages, trance, scrap, and Eye of Gemini. Somebody asked what artifacts that they should be focusing on. In my honest opinion, the first artifact I'd focus on is Transformation Card because it has so many uses, followed by Purified Pages of the Black. And if you plan on healing as well, then instead of the pages, I'd go trans, scrap, Eye of Gemini, and then focus on pages. And then I'd focus on either 2 artifacts because you can't go wrong with either of them when you're water DPS. And water is kind of a little different than the other DPS. So I'd either go with E-Bonds, which increases the amount of power your powers cost in exchange for a lot of might. If you run in a finisher, it's going to reset that, so you don't want to run a finisher with this build. And if you just want to focus strictly on crits, then Candle instead of E-Bonds. So one of the things that I want preface when oh y'all, I'm sick. I'm just getting over it, so work with me. One of the things I want preface before I even start working on this video is some of the things that water has going over it, because I want to explain these powers that I'm using and why I'm using them. So right off the bat, we have Aquatic Arsenal, which is your strongest damage ability that you can spam. It builds up stacks, hydro stacks that you spend on an ability called Dehydrate, which I'm not running for this little setup right here, and I'm gonna explain why I'm running it this way. And you could always go ahead and with this, what we're actually gonna do is put in Dehydrate, and let's put it in right here. So we're gonna go ahead and save that right quick, and I'll explain why I just did that change. I've been playing around with these armors a little bit depending on what I'm doing, but you don't want to drop that. So we go back to it, and again, we're going to build Hydro stacks with Aquatic Arsenal and Tsunami Strikes, and then you spend those on an ability called Hydrate. So let me show y'all how that looks right now. So y'all see Hydrate, and if y'all see, they got some indentions around this ability right here that I just used. You see they have some blank indentions. You build that up by using these combos right here. So you see how I just built in 2 just now? So we're going to build it up really, really quickly with Aquatic Arsenal right quick. And the more stacks that I build, the more damage that Dehydrate is going to do. So look how that's going to look. Bam. So that's a 1.1 mil that easily. I'm not doing anything but, again, building up stacks really, really quickly. And let's proc this so we have more crit that's coming in. And then now we're going to use that ability, and now we did 2.6 mil. Easy ability to use. It's fantastic. It doesn't change anything with your rotation. All you're doing is, again, building up stacks with your stack builder, which is Tsunami Strikes. You have Water Spouts right here that's going to finish it off. And again, use it. It's going to do a series of damage. Does great damage. It's not bad to use. So next up on this loadout that you're going to use is Soul Signature. Soul Signature is directly from your Candle of Necron's artifact. What happens is when you land critical hits is going to build up something called soul stacks. Soul stacks could then be expended to create a contract, and right now I don't have it at 200, so right now all it does is increase critical ability attack damage by 10%. When it's maxed out, it does 15% damage, which is fantastic. Crits is always king on this game to me. Next up, we have an ability called Bubble. Bubble is going to put a shield around us. It's going to stop the damage that you're taking from pages of the black, but it also allows us to, our might abilities is going to allow, when we land them, to do an extra tick of might. We have Nemesis Lasso. If anybody don't know, this is a must when you're DPSing. I'm sorry, it's the one artifact that's really needed for water, because what it does is it executes in the AoE area all of your enemies that's below 50% HP. Of course, that has some stipulations. They gotta have their eyes glowing. It's gotta be regular ads. It can't be like no elite ads or anything like that that have like a certain status on them. So next up, I run Neo Venom Boost. I use Neo Venom Boost mainly to empower Call of the Deep, to make Call of the Deep do even more damage. On the backboard, I have Tsunami Strikes. This is strictly on range when I can't get into melee distance. Again, I use Soul Signature again up here. I use Water Sprouts, Dehydrate, Sunstone Dust Blast, and Whirlpool. So when would I use this rotation right here? I generally use this one as a kind of, I guess, training wheels kind of rotation. If you, with a group that's struggling, they can't keep you alive from using melee. So say I'll come in, I use melee, bam, I'm getting killed left and right. I'm like, whoa, I gotta switch my loadout to something ranged. Then bam, you go to this instead. So instead, I just rotated it to this. So again, this is when I'm with a group that I'm not used of, and I can easily just switch it. So Gabe, you're not running the traditional might buff trick. Well, I'm not running that might buff trick because again, this is based on a group I'm running. I'm most self-dependent with this one, so I run static instead of Starfire. And I am gonna go into the Starfire one. One thing that y'all will notice is I really don't change from using John. John is amazing. For AoE, you could use Mr. Freeze. He does immediate damage and it's really good damage. So what's the final powers that I use in this loadout right here? Again, I absolutely love the Sunstone Dust Blast. It does great damage. Whirlpool is great for AoEs. Again, it just depends on how fast I'm getting supercharged back, and it's a supercharged spam group, because if I'm using them back to back, Call of the Deep have a mini cooldown. If I have my Aya Gemini back up again, then it's kind of pointless. So you'd have to run these. Now, if I'm not getting my supercharge back fast enough, then of course you're gonna use Call of the Deep above anything. It just does more damage. So I'm just gonna show y'all real quickly how much damage Call of the Deep does. Let's go ahead. The only thing I want to drop is supply drop. I really don't feel like running it right now, but you would drop a supply drop to get that extra bonus. You're gonna let John get his buff in. We're gonna use Neo Venom Boost to buff it, and then we're gonna go ahead with a Call of the Deep, and bam, you got a monstrous hit. When you're in content, I have seen hits of Call of the Deep for, I'm talking, I seen one other day from Clear that did like 50 mil. When you're fully buffed up and stacked up, of course, I mean, I have this candle, so I could have popped candle as well with it, procced it off to just got even more crits. If you see the down here, you'll come back to it. Soul Signature, 10% critical ability attack damage. Again, you max it out, that's 15%. And that's what made Call of the Deep just such a special 10K. So now, Gabe, what's the next variation of a loadout that you'll use? Well, let's go over here, down here to my Cyclops build. I know y'all feeling that fit. It's kind of cool. So this one right here is pretty much the same. I use this one generally as a kind of the strongest damage potential I can find on this. So how you'll do this one, I know y'all learned this little trick from many other YouTubers, is going to be really simple. Can't mess this up, guys. So for allies, you're going to be running John, Flash, and Starfire. Starfire has the Tamaranian technique, which is using the weapon buff ability now grants 8% might. So to really get that moving, and you like, okay, so what's the point why it's so special on water. So when you use it with water, water has this ability called Riptide. What Riptide does is whatever you use before it is going to reset the cooldown of it. So we're going to proc that Starfire buff 2 times in a row. Now you could get really creative because it'll still be up again when the cooldown reset on pressurized, so you can use it again, stacking it up even higher. So it's gonna look a little something like this. So we're gonna come to this bar right quick, and y'all remember in that other video I showed y'all how to properly clip. So again, we're gonna use our shield to our weapon buff. Riptide is gonna come back off cooldown, and now you have it again. So now when you go to our stats, and again, I'm not really like I'm not geared up like that, y'all. So this 800,000 might, we could get that up to an even higher level by procking our pages of the black. So it's gonna look a little something like this. Let's get all of them stacks up. All right, now that I'm at half, we're gonna use that same clip again. We're gonna come and you're gonna see we had over a mil might. Now we got what 99 million might, which is insane. So now the next thing we want to focus on is let's talk about what makes this rotation so insanely strong. So again, what we'll start off with is let's always call out our robot sidekick. We're gonna use bubble, pressurize, riptide, pressurize again, and we're gonna go straight into our aquatic arsenal. This is the strongest damage ability that you have. Once it's finished, you're gonna use drown. The key to using drown is it's going to also apply our crushing PI for this power set, but it's also a supercharge generator. So y'all, a supercharge is literally the most powerful thing that you can use on this game. With the new trend of Call of the Deep hitting so hard that you're really just gonna focus on trying to build it up as fast as possible. I mean, it's kind of really hard to mess this up. You know, it's literally just spamming aquatic arsenal until you proc your hydro stacks, fill up that, and then you're gonna use dehydrate. And that's really it. Once ads get below 50% health, you're gonna use Nemesis Lasso. Nemesis Lasso, if they're below 50%, is gonna execute them. It's really simple. I want to give a real shout out to Hezi in this video because he did an absolutely great water DPSing video where it was different than stuff that I generally see because he's doing an in-depth run through of a raid showing you how he actually DPSs when he uses stuff and stuff like that, which is great. It's absolutely fantastic. I suggest all of y'all to check that video out if you're trying to understand, because knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it is good on one hand, but actually seeing it done is a great representation of when you should use stuff. So again, real simple: bubble, high pressure, Riptide, going to use that pressurized ability again. Sorry for the pronunciation. And you're just going to really spam this. You're going to use drown to get that PI up. And then again, once dehydrate up, you're going to use that. It's not proccing because his life is too low and he's dying too quick. That's how much damage is water doing right now. And then I have one final variation to this build, which is this one right here. And this is literally, I'm in a group that we do at some points have to keep a distance from the boss that we fighting, but this is kind of like a one trick all, does everything, does insane high damage. Again, the variation of this rotation does not change. The whole goal is this: tsunami strikes, and tsunami strikes, water sprouts, and aquatic arsenal is your main damage that you're looking for. I run dehydrate on this back bar. For allies, well, for artifacts that I'm running, again, I don't change these four, which is pages, trance, scrap, or I don't change any of those. I just change out E-bonds with candle. Again, when you use John Constantine, you definitely want to use supply drop to get even more buffs up. With this one, I'm going to go with, again, the same allies, which is you're going to use Starfire, and you're going to use, again, bubble and to pressurize, Riptide to reset it, go back up with pressurize. So now you're all stacked up. If it's melee that you could get into, All you're going to do now is just switch the variation to water sprouts right after. So you're going to rotate water sprouts with aquatic arsenal. Now, if it's distance that you're trying to keep and you're trying to stay away from the boss because you're taking too much damage, the only difference you're going to do is, again, we're going to start it off the same exact way. Pressurized into Riptide to reset it, back to pressurized. Of course, you're going to use bubble. That rotation could rotate. You could also start with pressurized into Riptide, into pressurize again, then to bubble. All of that's clippable. I'll show you that in fast motion. It'll look like this. All of that could be clipped together. So what you're going to do is, again, tsunami strikes, water sprouts. Water sprouts got a close distance, so you got to be careful with it, but it's literally going to look like this if you have to keep a range. Again, none of that does even a quarter of the damage that you're doing with just coming in with this one right here. Like, aquatic arsenal is just insane. So it just will look like this instead, and you just rotate that repeatedly. It's real simple. Water DPSing does not take much effort. Sadly, right now, it is the strongest DPS class on the game. It does insane levels of damage. Look, just right there with that, y'all seen the amount of damage that I was able to do. It's insane the amount of damage that it could do right now. So again, we're gonna come in, build it up, stack up our might, use our buffs. See if we could land a nice high-end Call of the Deep right here. Fantastic supercharge, y'all. I mean, it's amazing, especially when you're in contact with buff controllers and stuff like that. I hope if there's any questions that y'all have for this one, I made it pretty simple for y'all to understand, pretty simple for y'all to replicate. Guys, I enjoy doing these videos and teaching y'all how to do stuff. That way y'all not left behind in the curve of what's going on in this game. If there's any questions y'all have, please leave them in the comment section below. Thank y'all for bearing with me. Again, I am sick. It's Mardi Gras season down here in New Orleans, so just wish I get better, y'all. As always, until the next video, this is Gabe, and y'all be cool and be safe.
There ain't really nothing that you owe me. When I touch the stage, you can't hold me down. When I get rowdy, you gon' know me. In the fast lane, you can't slow me down. When I speed up, swinging around the city, you might see us. Got me feeling like the man, I'm a phenom. And I don't think they understand, I'm feeling free. Being what I wanna be, ain't no one controlling me, no. I know that's something they don't like to see now. You can take a seat, I'll take the lead now. Freedom ain't a thing that comes cheap, but I'd rather pay the fee if I know I won't be
blinded by these chains. You couldn't hold me back. Doing what I want, you couldn't stop me. And if freedom calls, you gotta steal that phone. Walk this path alone, just a hill gone road.
No wolf, no pack, got the path I chose. No click, no pack, my actions can't be controlled. I'm not on any course, I'm like an open court. What am I fighting for? Freedom and open doors. I must speak on how I'm feeling and I'll stick to my word. Once I started, ain't no stop to see my vision not blurred. Now that I'ma raise the ceiling when the party gets turned. I'm not just a punk, that's cause ain't no one controlling me now.
I know that's something they don't like to see now. You can take a seat, I'll take a lead now. Freedom ain't a thing that comes cheap, but I'd rather pay the fee if I know I won't be
blinded by these chains. You couldn't hold me back. Doing what I want, you couldn't stop me. And if freedom calls, you gotta steal that phone. Walk this path alone, just a hero gone rogue.
I'm just a hero going rogue. I'm just doing what I want. I ain't bounded by your rules. I ain't following your code. Ain't no one controlling me.